Good morning. Um, it's around 8 o'clock in Connecticut, and I just finished a uh, little review of one of the uh, newscasts, and they had a little clip on a focus group, a gentleman who was putting some focus groups together. And this one came from Orange County for young people, um, young adults. Not necessarily in school, maybe working, uh, some in school as well, but the young adult population. Anyway, um, he asked a simple question initially about midterms and who are you going to vote for, who is your congressperson, and I understand people not knowing who their congresspeople are. I mean, people aren't engaged in that necessarily to some degree, the political climate. But this one woman I heard, it was just a passing comment, as people were saying, "Oh, I don't know, I don't, yeah, yeah." She said, in the background, it came out, "What is that?" In other words, what are the midterms? What do you mean when you say vote in the midterms? I, I mean, I was startled by it. Um, Not that people don't vote in the midterms, because that, complacency is part of today's world. Um, and some of the attitudes that young youth have, or young people, well, young people, adults, it doesn't really matter. If it's not attacking them right at their, home, in their home, they're not much concerned about it. They don't care about climate change until climate comes and whacks them over the head. And then they want everything done in 5 minutes, and it's not going to be done because you got to start ahead of time. You have to be proactive. But that speaks to what? What does that speak to when somebody says, "What is that? What are the midterms?" The young, you know, looked like a fairly well dressed group, affluent, not maybe not affluent, but uh, had money in their pockets to buy good clothes. Seems like their education, they must have had some education. And that brings up education. What the devil is being taught in the schools? What is being taught about our educate, or what are our educators teaching the children? I really was set back by that little comment. I mean, I knew that there were problems in the schools. I've asked, some of the grandkids and whatnot about what they're learning, and are they being taught, the social skills, social awarenesses? Are they being taught critical thinking? Are they being taught things that are important in a society, which I consider important? Maybe nobody else does, but I do. Your government is important. It is a democracy. It needs to be focused on, um, not which way to go in your government, but it is a government, and this is what your constitution is. And even if it is a, federalist leaning democracy, it is still a democracy, and you still have the opinion and the right and the power to vote. Some have decided not to vote, and they've thought about it and they've made that decision. But some people apparently are just totally uneducated. Uneducated. It's just not you missed. You didn't just miss that day in school, or you fell asleep behind a desk or whatever. What are they being taught? I mean, I went to a Catholic school, elementary and high school. I really don't know what the public school were teaching. Um, in detail. And I guess I really, I can't say that I'm learned on the curriculums of the Catholic schools, but civics, being a citizen, was important and was talked about and was taught. Not which political party or whatever. I mean, these were both religious schools, so there were, religion was discussed. But, civics was there. I mean, I knew about midterms, whether I wanted to vote or not, but at least I knew that they existed. I didn't have to be educated at 20 years old to know that, we have midterm elections, and they're just elections at a different time. So it splits up the process, so not everything changes all at once. I mean, there is forethought, there is logic, there is premise to these government institutions, whether people want to believe that or not. I mean, things get corrupted, things get, you know, well, over time, everything starts to wear. You need people of good conscience and good faith and good character to change some of these things to create a better, more responsible government. Everything gets too big, and when it's too big, it's not manageable, and things start to collapse when it's too big. Even the biggest organizations, they start to go bad. Too many cooks spoil the broth, or whatever the term is. But by God, I mean, are they teaching things like this in school? Are they teaching civics in school? Is it an important subject, or is it, half hour, and if you're dozing or out sick that day, you missed the whole thing on your government at third grade or whenever, or some cartoon thing that they throw up on the video. This is your government. I mean, do they have decent discussions, made children aware that you have a governance, that it's not just all sports or, art or whatever is going on in the schools, that, it's not just becoming an engineer or just becoming, I mean, you need governance to rule, to tax, to create a better environment, to fix your roads, to fix your sewers. What's happening, I've heard terrible problems like in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, where they're not getting water, that, horrible situations in today's world. Michigan, the same situation, the Flint, Michigan debacle, with simple things like water, because people are incompetent. And you put incompetence in, I mean, when you vote, who the heck, you don't really know these people. They're a name. Do you really understand what they're doing? Are they telling you the truth when they say they're voting for you? For you? I'm for you, Jim. Are they for me? I hesitate on that. Of course, there's selfish motivations. Some people are altruistic. No doubt about that. But who is and who isn't? You don't know. You have to go with a certain amount of faith, a certain amount of hope, a certain amount of education, see what their patterns of life are, to make a legitimate decision. If you really were engaged in that, like they talk about people that go to the primaries, they're so engaged in government that, that's why they go out to the primaries. Well, I'm in Connecticut. You don't go to the primaries if you're an independent. I'm an independent. Oh, I don't go to I don't go to the primary. But, it is, and I'm not the most civic minded individual, because I do have my own biases. I do have my own laziness. I do have my own lack of understanding about what all the problems are. When you see these political ads, my gosh. Anyway, I just wondered about education, and I had to spend a few minutes just addressing my wonder. And I want you to think about education. I want you to think, are the educators educating people on primary subjects, things that are important to you, the citizen of the United States, the citizen of whatever county and state you live in, is important to you? These critical things, these fundamental rights, are they being taught? When that young woman said, what's a midterm? Give me a break. That's really hard to believe. Anyway, have a good day. I just wanted to raise that question for you to think about it. I have no idea what's being taught in the schools. My gut feeling is little. They're focusing on, the easy stuff. They won't talk about, the critical thinking things. They don't engage in that. I don't know. I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I don't know. I'm not part of the education world. When I ask the kids, the grandkids, what do they have in school, or what have they been taught, or whatever, stuff. So it's really to the parents to get engaged and find out what exactly is being taught in your schools. How are these children being educated? You don't want your child to come out and say, what's a midterm at 20, 21 years old? I mean, you hear some of these clips from some of the questions off the street kind of thing. Man. But, if people don't know, they don't know. So, thank you for listening. Take care. I guess what I was, if you haven't subscribed, give it a shot. And, like it if you like it, dislike it if you don't, and pass the link on if you can. So, bye for now. Take care.